To safeguard our natural habitats, we cannot rely on voluntary actions. We need a standardized legislative framework to enforce change. This chart details the 4 pillars of effective environmental law. The first is scope, defining explicit parameters that restrict activities, like capping factory emissions or banning single-use plastics. These precise restrictions target immediate environmental degradation while securing long-term ecological stability. Precision at the point of legislative introduction establishes the necessary foundation to isolate and neutralize specific ecological threats. Moving past the introduction phase, the acquisition of a new law forces an immediate, mandatory shift in both industrial practices and consumer behavior. This behavioral transition disrupts daily routines, predictably causing public inconvenience and generating intense debate. To push past this friction, agencies deploy systematic public education, utilizing news broadcasts, targeted social media campaigns, and academic channels to communicate the law's necessity. Public pushback during this phase is a standard variable requiring active management rather than an indicator of legislative failure. This split comparison chart maps the low impact of voluntary actions against strict regulatory frameworks. It demonstrates that voluntary sustainability initiatives fail to achieve macro-level environmental protection. The practical significance of these frameworks relies entirely on their mandatory enforcement mechanisms. Looking at the framework's enforcement structure, it is split into 2 distinct penalty metrics. The first targets businesses breaching the law with severe financial fines. The second metric escalates to criminal charges, utilized specifically against individuals or organizations involved in severe violations, like illegal logging and wildlife trafficking. Applying these dual penalties creates the necessary friction to curb major ecological threats, restricting the influx of ocean plastic waste and punishing excessive greenhouse gas emissions. Severe legal repercussions serve as the primary, non-negotiable deterrent required to halt macroecological damage. The true utility of environmental legislation is validated through measurable post-inception data. This data dashboard tracks 3 key performance metrics following strict enforcement. The numbers confirm tangible improvements in local air quality, rising coastal cleanliness levels, and distinct growth in public sustainability awareness. Documented, data-driven success provides the necessary justification for governments to continue tightening enforcement and expanding legislative scope to mitigate climate change. Mandatory compliance through strict regulatory frameworks remains an absolute imperative for forcing a shift toward a greener lifestyle. Brought to you by the IELTS Focus.